Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I welcome you all to this second session of the healthcare delivery system in Pakistan. As you know, we discussed the primary healthcare level, the secondary healthcare level in the first session. In this session, we will be discussing the tertiary care level, the tertiary care hospitals and super specialty hospitals. We'll be discussing horizontal and vertical programs about educational institutions, regulating bodies, and the other players in the healthcare delivery system. We will also be revising the healthcare delivery system. Well, healthcare delivery system in Pakistan has a mixed health system that includes public, private, civil society, philanthropic contributors, and donor agencies. In Pakistan, healthcare delivery to the consumers is systematized through four modes of preventive, promotive, curative, and rehabilitative services. As far as the healthcare delivery is concerned, the question arises, what is the goal of healthcare delivery system? This is very important. The goal of any healthcare delivery system should be to foster optimal health outcomes by providing cost-effective, patient-centered, quality care with a service emphasis. That's the most important thing. And healthcare delivery systems should be designed to motivate patients and healthcare providers to make decisions consistent with this goal. Just revising a little bit about the levels of healthcare system. The first level is the primary level, and we discussed in our previous session that we have basic health units, dispensaries, maternal and child health centers, rural health centers, family physician clinics, homeopathic clinics, and Hakim clinics. Further revising, we discussed secondary level healthcare facilities, the Tehsil headquarter hospitals, the district headquarter hospitals, and then secondary care private and philanthropic hospitals. And then finally, we just highlighted the tertiary level health facilities, which include the medical college hospitals and the super specialty hospitals. I discussed in length with you that the medical college hospitals are general hospitals which are multi-speciality hospitals, and there are certain super speciality hospitals like cardiology hospitals, kidney and liver transplant hospitals, ophthalmology or eye care hospitals, cancer care hospitals. Then we also discussed health needs, because either it is the primary level health facilities, the secondary or the tertiary or the super speciality, health needs play a very important role. And the burden of disease determines the nature of services to be provided at all levels of care. And why this is important is that we always have scarce resources, and in order to match the demands, the needs with the scarce resources, we have to see that what diseases are more prevalent, what ailments are more prevalent, and for what diseases and ailments which are more prevalent, what kind of resources are required. And while we are prioritizing the type of services, the cost and non-cost factors, and more importantly, equity, must be given due consideration. And any healthcare system should focus on the poor or people who cannot afford. Then we also discussed the quality health care, what is quality health care. And as far as quality health care is concerned, I highlighted that once services are in place, the next logical and important question is the quality of care that cannot be achieved without defining standards. So, standards have two principal objectives. The first is the uh, that they provide a common set of requirements applicable to whole healthcare system. And the second was they provide a framework for continuous improvement and overall quality of care. And the ultimate impact of the minimum service delivery standards would be to provide effective and healthy workforce for the economic development of the country. And it is because of this reason that the healthcare commissions, which have started operating in some of the provinces, have minimum service delivery standards for primary healthcare facilities, for secondary healthcare facilities, and the tertiary healthcare facilities. And they have some major indicators, and then they have some sub indicators in all the categories. This is a picture with my students while we were visiting a healthcare facility, because it is not only that you attend sessions or lectures or discuss things in classrooms, you need to go and visit these places. In this part of our session, we will be discussing about the horizontal programs, and every healthcare system has both horizontal and vertical healthcare programs. And when we talk about the horizontal healthcare programs, as you can see, uh, the general services are provided through the horizontal healthcare programs, which includes both preventive and curative health care services. And we also have vertical programs for specific health conditions. And we have some major vertical programs running in Pakistan. Now, after devolution, some of them have been devolved to the provincial levels, but still, in certain provinces, these are being run as vertical programs. They have their own program management units, they have their own staff, which coordinates with all the districts, with all the healthcare system, and they have their certain targets related to what kind of program that is. I will be sharing with you examples of a few vertical programs, not all, but a few vertical programs. I also recommend that after going through this session, you should also consult your textbooks, or you can consult some reference books as well. As far as a vertical program is concerned, it is a component of a health system which has a specific defined objective, usually quantitative and relating to a single condition or small group of health problems. So, if we are talking about cancer, we might have a vertical program related to cancer. We have of course, we have a vertical program related to maternal and child health care and related to nutrition. And the objective focus of these vertical programs are short and medium term goals. One such example is of the family planning and primary healthcare program. The family planning and primary healthcare program so far has recruited more than 100,000 lady health workers who are attached at the basic health unit and work in the communities. Then we have the EPI program, which EPI stands for Extended Program for Immunization. And during 1 year alone, more than 8 million children, 0 to 11 months, and 6.5 million pregnant women were immunized against 7 deadly diseases and tetanus toxoid vaccine, respectively. As far as the EPI program is concerned, we also celebrate the National Immunization Days, and we have been specially focusing on polio eradication in that regard. Then we have the malaria control program, which focuses on prevention and control of malaria. We have a dengue control program, which is separate. Of course, these are vertical programs, but these are now kind of integrated in the horizontal system of healthcare service delivery in the provinces. Then we have tuberculosis control program, and the incidence of tuberculosis had been standing at around 231 per 100,000 population, and the objective was to reduce the number of new cases, and directly observed treatment system dots coverage in public sector has been really increased in the last 5 years. Then we have the HIV/AIDS control program, and the HIV/AIDS control programs focuses on some key population groups, and the two of these are people with who inject drugs, and their national prevalence is around 27.2%. Uh, then we have the transgender sex workers uh, who have HIV, and then we have male sex workers, and then there is prevalence of HIV in female sex workers. So there's a particular program which focuses on these marginalized or at-risk groups. Then we have the maternal, neonatal, and child health program, and it has also incorporated in it the nutrition program. And as you know that we have an infant mortality rate of around 60 to 62 per 1,000 live births, and then we have a maternal mortality of around 150 to 170 per 100,000 live births. So there is a program which focuses on these indicators to improve these indicators. Then we have the cancer treatment program. We have we have some other programs, but I just wanted to give you a flavor that there are some vertical program which focuses on different diseases. We have a food supplementation program also. Now this has been taken over by the provincial governments. In the healthcare system, we've discussed the different levels of healthcare delivery, which includes the primary level, the secondary level, the tertiary level. Then we have these horizontal programs working within these levels. We have vertical programs. And then we have these blood bank, independent laboratories, and diagnostic centers, which are also regulated through the healthcare commissions. And there are different regulations for the blood banks, then for the medical laboratories and the diagnostic centers. In the medical laboratories, we do all kinds of blood or secretion related or investigations or histopathology. Like now we have different sections in the laboratories. We have the hematology section, chemical pathology, we have molecular biology, microbiology, histopathology. And then we have diagnostic centers. We have different modalities over there, ranging from ultrasound, x-rays, some diagnostic equipment, x-ray fluoroscopy systems, DEXA scans, mammography systems, then CT scans are performed, and MRIs are magnetic resonance imaging is done. We have PET scans as well. Then there is the medical education institutions, where we have the medical colleges, dental colleges, nursing colleges, allied health sciences colleges, pharmaceutical sciences colleges. We have Hikmat and homeopathic colleges. Then we have technician schools. All these medical and allied educational institutions are producing human resource which complements each other in provision of healthcare services at all three levels of the healthcare delivery system. Then we have health sector regulators, which includes the Pakistan Medical Commission, which was formerly called as the Pakistan Medical and Dental Council. We have the provincial healthcare commissions. We have drug regulatory authorities. We have Pakistan Pharmaceutical Council. We have the Nursing Council. So these are the different kinds of regulators available. There are some other regulators also at the provincial level, the Excise and Narcotics Control Department, and a few others. Then we have the pharmaceutical sector, which regulates or which includes the national pharmaceutical companies, the multinational pharmaceutical companies. Then there are some companies who only import drugs. They don't manufacture drugs, they import certain drugs. Then there are surgical supplies, nutraceuticals, which fall in this sector. Then there are hospital pharmacies, community pharmacies. Then the healthcare system of Pakistan also includes medical and allied equipment manufacturers and suppliers. And we have these hospital diagnostic equipment manufacturers and suppliers, hospital treatment equipment manufacturers and suppliers, medical furniture manufacturers and suppliers, miscellaneous equipment used in hospitals is either manufactured or imported and supplied and made available at all levels of healthcare. Then there are instruments, medical instruments, surgical instruments, manufacturers and suppliers. Then we have the health insurance system, which includes the social health insurance systems. Lately, the Sehat Sahulat card has been introduced, in which households have a coverage of up to 700,000 per annum, in which they can get treated. And there are, of course, some standards for that it has to be indoor treatment. Then there are private health insurance companies, and their coverage depends upon the premium which is paid either by individuals or by corporates. Then we have co-payment plans. These are also a kind of health insurance schemes. Then we have institutional coverage through group health insurance. So health insurance is also an important component of the healthcare delivery system in Pakistan. With this, I end today's session. But it will continue because I will be online with you, and the assignment for all of you is that share an article on a health system of any country according to the following groups which I have made. Read the article and post 3 things you liked about that health system on our Facebook page and during the lecture, because the comments will be the comment section will be shut off after the completion time of the lecture, because you have ample time now to read the articles and then read the article as well as the 3 things you liked about that health system. So what I've done is that participants or students or participants having roll numbers from 1 to 50 have to study a developing country system from Asia and do whatever I've mentioned above. Then participants from 50 or 51 to 100 to study developing country systems. Please correct it. It is not developing country system. It is developing systems from Europe, and the third is from systems from Africa. Of course, we have developing countries in Africa. So I'll be waiting for your responses, and the comment section will be on till the end of this session. If you also have any other questions, I'll be glad to answer you. You can email me your questions. My email address is shown under all the slides, and I'll be there to help you even after the session ends. Thank you very much and take care. Allah Hafiz.